Hey, my name is Bentley Sayer, and this is a presentation for my web development internship for the class of 2020 at University of Utah. The program is Master of Software Development. So a little bit of an overview for my internship. It was a full stack web development internship for these two brothers based out of Logan, Utah. They've got a variety of small businesses that they own, and they needed a couple of modern web applications built out for those businesses, and that was what I was focusing on during the internship. I'll talk about what specifically I did during this time, but my personal objective was to learn as much modern full stack web development as possible, best practices, and some of the most relevant web technologies that I was able to find. And basically, I was the only developer on these projects, so I was able to make all the decisions from architecture to which technologies would be used to implement the applications and all of that. So it's been quite a big job, and it's certainly not done. But as far as this course is concerned, it is done. As far as what the web development experience I had coming into this, it was basically none. I had a little bit of knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but it was very surface level. I think we only had one or two classes that touched on those technologies just a little bit, and so I had a big learning curve when I started. I was basically a noob. My first project that I worked on was for Olympus fireworks. Excuse me. My objective here was to just make a modern looking and feeling web application for them, for their fireworks business, to model an e-commerce type experience without actually being one, because they're not allowed to legally sell fireworks online, but they are allowed to collect like wish lists of fireworks that customers are interested in, and then they can further reach out and purchase those fireworks. But the application that I was working on was basically just to streamline that process, so they didn't have to do so much manually. As far as the scope of the internship is concerned regarding this class, I wanted to build out the back-end API for the application, and build out the endpoints that the front-end application will interface with to fill that front-end application with content. So as far as where the status is, it's currently in progress. I've had to switch gears to a new project, so I wasn't able to totally finish it, but all the endpoints are built out and connected to the database. So you're able to query the database with a bunch of different HTTP requests, but it does need some further work as far as securing the API and who can access those endpoints, and making sure that only those who are authenticated can access customer information and things like that. So that's still a little bit of a work in progress, but as far as this internship is concerned, I'm done with most of that. So the implementation challenges that I faced for Olympus Fireworks was just the remote nature of the internship, meaning it was very difficult sometimes to get in contact with my employers because of how busy they are, to be able to get like different digital assets that they wanted, and to be able to really hash out the requirements of the app. I had to make some assumptions and things, and then later change those assumptions because I was wrong. Which was only because of the remoteness of the internship. If I was working in person, that wouldn't have been a problem. But the other challenge I faced was cleaning up the database schema, and the actual data that they had in their database was not good to start. They had tons of columns and fields that just had null values, or it wasn't obvious what they meant, things like that. So I had to clean that database, and that took quite a bit of time. The other difficulty I faced was concerned with configuring the Node.js and Express.js web server that I was tasked with building to fulfill the API requests. There's a ton of configuration that goes into it, and learning exactly what you're doing takes some time because it's not obvious all the time what all the middleware and things in the application do. So the second project that I worked on was for TerraVibe. It's a CBD business that they have. They sell like different CBD lotions and other products like that. What they wanted me to do was set up or build out a WordPress WooCommerce backend um, with some custom PHP WordPress plugins that I would have to develop, and that's what I've been working on for like the past month and a half, because that's when they wanted me to change. They came to me and said that this was their most urgent business need, and they wanted to get this business launched immediately. So I've been working on that, and I've got it mostly done. The back end especially is basically done. I'm just waiting on a few of the digital assets that you need for the front end, like images and some product descriptions and pricing information, to actually just clean up that front end and build it out. Some of the challenges I faced implementing this TerraVibe application was again due to the remote nature and waiting on assets, and they wanted an extremely quick timeline. So in order to satisfy that, I've had to bug them quite a bit to get all the stuff I need to launch their website. And then lastly, just the abstract nature of WordPress. You just have to rely on a lot of plugins and third-party, basically, features that are kind of sometimes, I don't know, it's hard to know what you can trust and things like that. So you've got to do a lot of research beforehand to figure out what's safe and what some of the best practices are. And so that's taken a lot of time just to make sure that I'm building the most secure, safe e-commerce application that I can, because e-commerce is extremely important and bad things can happen if it isn't a secure application. So the stack that I've been using for these projects has been, so for the Olympus Fireworks one, I will use SQL Server and Node.js for the API, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. And then for the TerraVibe one, I use WordPress on the back end. And that's pretty much been the scope of this internship for this class. For the front end, I will be using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and React to build out the front end. But I haven't had time to do that during the course of the internship because of how much they've wanted me to do with the two different projects. So that'll be for the future. But the main lessons I learned during this internship process has been that remote work is really difficult. It's hard to know exactly what your employer wants when you can't just walk down to their office and ask them. So communication can be tough, and it certainly has been for this internship, but it's been good. I've been able to better understand how programming languages and the different frameworks you use to build applications are just tools, and it's important to consider what the best tool is for the job. There's no one tool fits all. So that's been a valuable lesson I've learned. And then project timelines are very hard to manage at times, and understanding how long something takes, I think, is going to be mostly an acquired skill as I work in industry. And it's certainly something I struggled with regarding these projects. And then also the importance of testing, how easy it is to go down rabbit holes and things when you don't test properly up front. I've been able to see that firsthand, and I know that test-driven development is a great option to combat that. Scope creep is a very big problem when it comes to building applications, and especially with remote work, it's very difficult if you don't hash out the requirements very well beforehand and stick to those, and make sure that your employer sticks to those, because you can go down a lot of rabbit holes with different features they want implemented. So some of the specific skills and experience I feel like I gained was experience with microservice architectures. That's how I built the Olympus Fireworks API specifically. Was the database is its own entity, and then there's the API, which is essentially just an app that interfaces with the database. And then I'm going to be building a React application front end for them that will interface with my API. So they're all separated, and it's not one monolithic application. And that seems to be the trend that the industry is going to, is microservices. So I feel like I gained great experience there, which will be valuable for interviewing and things like that. But I've also gained a great understanding of the web, I feel like, or a lot better understanding. I shouldn't say great, but I definitely know a lot more about how it works, and especially about like HTTP and all of that. So it's been really good to understand and work with that firsthand. I've also been able to have a couple of great portfolio projects for my resume, which I think is invaluable. and I've had exposure to the most modern frameworks and programming languages, in my opinion, regarding the web. And for me, probably the most valuable experience that I've learned is that, what my path forward is as a software development. I definitely want to focus on the back end because of this internship. I really enjoyed working with Node.js and building out that API. So that's been an absolutely incredibly good experience for me. And just to close, I just want to say thank you to all the professors that have helped me along the way. The MSD program has absolutely fantastic professors and staff, and I'm going to be forever grateful for you guys. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.